Welcome back, everybody. So we're going to start off here with my Thora anime model. So as you can see, we've got the no Lora loaded, and then we've got the actual Lora for the anime model, right? You can find this on my account. It's just called Thora Anime, DJZ Thora Anime. The character is Thora, and the anime style is based on some 90s looks, which I like. And then for the grid, again, it's the same as before, but we've added Electron Microscopy and we've added Genesis Flux. And as you can see from the differences here, Abstract Chaos gives a much more natural lighting look. Electron Microscopy does better soft focus, I think. It's macro type photography. And then Genesis Flux is going to give us this sort of weird fractalization of the details, which you can't really see in this image, but it's most apparent in the neon lighting and lighting glow. Now, it is possible to stack these together, but that's still experimental. I haven't done enough research on that. So I just wanted to walk you through some of these pictures and show you the difference. So if we have a look, here's another example, right? If we take a look at the original Flux output, this is obviously photographic for some reason, even though we are using anime captions. For some reason, Flux doesn't seem to have a lot of anime in it. So here we have the original output, which you would have gotten if you just loaded my Thora anime model straight. And then here we have it with not the true world Flux. You can see it's a lot sharper. There's some more detail. You can see little lines everywhere because it's trying to make these straight edges. With the Abstract Chaos, again, as I've said many times now, we've got the slightly more natural lighting. If a little overcooked, it does, well, when I say overcooked, overexposed is what I should say. It does look a little overexposed, and it does make some mistakes because it's trying to do all this abstract curvy stuff. Now, Electron Microscopy, again, is going to do some weird stuff too, but it's mostly about that macro. So it'll try to do soft focus and it'll try to do small details. Okay, so it's like they have strengths and weaknesses, but as you can see, there's a blue glow in the original image that you would have got, but that's completely gone because it's completely over. It's just how would I say, it's blown out by the training of the model. And what Genesis Flux does is it can often restore that. So then we've got this cool glow. Now, I appreciate that it sort of doesn't make much sense in this picture, but that's just a case of different seeds. See, what I've done here is there's no cherry picking. These are all on the same seed, okay? So you're going to get some variation between images. So here we've got a close-up of the face of the character, and I hope you can see it's the same character, right? It's a consistent character. Every image is the same woman, although there is some variation, which is caused by the weights. So if you take a look at this image, that's what you got from Flux. This is what you get from the model on its own, my Lora. And then these are the 4 outputs that modify this image, because we're loading this model in combination with not True World, or Abstract Chaos, or Electron Microscopy, or Genesis Flux. And this is all to show the effect of the combination with the passive detailer. And we're not injecting any triggers for any of these because that's what the passive means. That's passive mode, okay? Just by the fact that you have it loaded, it will modify the output. So as you can see, this is the original output. Not the true world is a little bit sharper, a little bit more detailed, but it's lost some lighting. This is some really cool lighting. And then here we have a much more, like I said, this is sort of what you would expect to see, this kind of lighting, I think. And then here, Electron Microscopy, can you see the patches of light which have been lost here and here? They're retained with this one because it's the macro. And then finally, the Genesis Flux gives this red glow throughout. So it's different looks, all right? You can also see some difference in the eyes because this is what I trained as cosmic eyes, right? So cosmic eyes looks like this. And you can see that even the style of the eyes are changed according to the different things. So I like the fractal. The fractal eyes are really cool. They've got this little red circle, which is a lot bigger in the original, but it's much more subtle in this one. So we've got different looks, okay? So again, going through all of these. I hope to post these up soon. They haven't been posted because I've got 80 of these charts. Sometimes I like to do a lot of comparisons so that you can bear out the average and really prove what the effect actually is. Because sometimes you get a bad generation like this, where it's like, is she holding the gun? Like in Not the True World, it's fixed. She is holding the gun. But then in the other images, it's like behind her, or it's not even held and her arms are missing. That's the abstract stuff. But the background looks excellent. So let's just keep going. Again, you do have to kind of, like I said, you do a lot of generations when you're generating with AI, and sometimes they do come out a bit whack. As you can see, like here, like where's the gun start and end? I don't know. Why is there a scope at this end? It's all kind of crazy, but Genesis Flux actually did a pretty good job. And again, it's up to you what you want to use and what you want to use it for. Like I said, Abstract Chaos consistently gives excellent lighting, you know, at the expense perhaps of a little bit of sharpness. There's also the backgrounds with Not the True World are always really sharp, and like, you know, if you want like good architecture in the backgrounds, it's always going to be great with Not the True World. I actually think that loading these two at the same time is probably going to be a winner, but I haven't tested it to find out what the exact weight you'd need, the strength, because you'd have to balance the strengths so they don't fight each other. Electron Microscopy has changed the angle to a low angle for some reason. And then Genesis Flux again has got this nice glow. I mean, I guess they're all glowing a little bit, but it's a different type of glow. It's also retained a low angle to a certain extent. If we just keep going through these, like there's so many, I probably don't have time to go through all of them. But again, if you look at this, the Abstract Chaos, this looks like a very specific type of manga, colored manga, right? So you can see this is also a different, almost a different style at this point, but it's the same character throughout, so it doesn't affect the training. So if you've got a trained character, it's not going to necessarily deviate from the character that you've trained, and it's clearly not the same person that was in the base model already. All right, this isn't even anime. Okay, so there we go. Remember, Genesis is based on fractals, so it's going to try and make more fractally type stuff. You can't really, it's very hard to see that. And the same with Electron Microscopy, it's going to do different details. This looks like a more flat image, if you ask me. This one's got a little bit more shadow going on. Like there's almost no shadow in this. You see what I mean? Whereas this has quite strong shadows. And then this one is definitely, it's like you've got the lighting shade in there as well. Looking again at another face. So here's the original. She's only got one eye. Then we've got the actual output you would have had. And again, Not the True World Flux kind of looks almost robotic. Abstract Chaos is a lot warmer. Electron Microscopy, there's a lot of detail in the eye, and it feels like there's an eye missing here. And then Genesis, again, looks like there's an eye missing here. But you can see, I hope you can see, it's very subtle. You have to be like a spot the difference master to really notice what's going on. Let's see now. So I think it's time to move on to the next set of examples, because at the moment what we're looking at is Stack Tester with Thora Passive, and I want to show you now Paradistro. So those recently I did a big thing about megastructure prompts, video prompts, and in that we made some image prompts. So I think in the Universe Engine video I showed you how to create a prompt gen for video models. So that's what we're going to start looking at now. So here it is. Let's take a look at some of these images. And as you can see, like I say, the difference is you can really see the difference now. So we're getting architectural, we're getting abstract. The microscopy, it doesn't really make it look like microscope stuff, okay? But I hope you can see that the effect is consistent. I haven't really got a title for these. Like I say, these two are experimental, but they certainly do work. So we're using the exact same prompt here. All right, same prompt and seed. All the settings are the same. The only difference is we have loaded a combination of my Lora with the 4 detailers. So I'm just going to kind of look through them now so you get to see the difference. I was like, I love the Abstract Chaos rendering on this one. And you can kind of see actually the difference. I mean, look at this. This is with the fractals, and this is with the electron microscope stuff. So you can really get a consistent look out of the stacking of these passive detailers. And it's very apparent as you keep going through, like the fractal stuff seems to be much better at doing the natural glow lighting. And here you can see this is definitely following the Abstract Chaos model. I mean, and then here, this is definitely like architectural stuff. So it's like, what are you going for? And then test, see which ones are going to be useful. This was the original output, and these are modified by those passive detailers. So it's easy to get that look, right? Okay. So I'm just going to sort of keep clicking through these for a bit. And then we can move on to the next bit. So again, what we're doing here is we're actually loading in the Lora, the Thora Lora from last time. So this is Thora, we're running the Thora anime. So this is the anime model, but with the prompts from the megastructure captions. So when we did all of those captions before, like I said, you can really see the difference here, I think anyway. I mean, I appreciate it might be like useful to sort of zoom in on these. Let's take a quick look here. So this would be the output by just using the megastructure prompt with the Thora Lora and then combining that with the detailers. So here you can see this is like a specific style of anime with lots of structural futuristic details. And this has lots of abstract details. Okay. Obviously, I think I'm using 0.7, so you can change the strength of the stacked passive Lora by putting that up and down. And then again, electron microscopy gives this sort of style, and then the fractal stuff gives this sort of style. So they're very distinct styles which you can bleed out of the model just by loading these Loras in. Okay, let's keep going. What else have we got? So again, it's the same sort of flavor. I hope you're getting the kind of idea of what this is doing by now. So now I want to move on to the next thing it can do. So I believe that what I did towards the end of these actually is I think I started injecting the prompt, or at least a trigger, because that's something you can do. You can make these active detailers by injecting just the trigger for the model, and then it will become more pronounced. So I think that's what we're doing here. So now it's becoming a lot more pronounced. So when you load in the prompt, you've got the prompt from the megastructure Lora, and then you've got the anime Lora, which also has a trigger. That's how it's actually manifesting the anime style. But then when you load in the passive detailers, you can put the trigger in for that model as well. All it is a case of adding that sort of XYX style or whatever it is in with your prompt. So you just put that as a prefix or a suffix. You can do text concatenate before the text encoder. It's pretty easy to do. I've shown how to do it in the past. I'm sure you guys know what that's about. So here we have a very strong effect from the structural, a very strong effect of the abstract. So it's giving us all these cool wires and stuff. And this is like really nice artistic sort of influence here. And then it's the same with the electron. You can see it's sort of trying to make bacteria out of everything. In the style of the microscopy model. And then with the fractal model, it's making repeating patterns which sort of go on and on and on and on. That's what the fractal is, and that's what it's trying to do, but inside the anime model. So there's a lot of stuff you can do with this. And remember, none of these have been upscaled or enhanced in any way. These are just straight 1024 by 1024 gens. All right. And it's all with a custom model. So if you have your own, it's going to follow whatever you trained in. So it's not going to be exactly like this. It's going to be more like your own project. But that's what I wanted to show, was that it's easy to use these to get a little bit more interesting outputs. This is something which is really nice. So now we're touching on the next level. Now, as you can see, the top image here is the same as the image there. What does that mean? Well, what that means is I'm not loading a Lora anymore. So you can ignore this label what we're doing now is we're using the passive detailer with just a prompt to the base flux model. So this is the base flux checkpoint. And as you can see, these are identical. So there is no LoRa being loaded now. This is like a proof. Yeah, you can prove that there's no LoRa being loaded. And this is just a clean output of one of my megastructure prompts, which I made in the Ace Hollow FS LLM. So here we have it. Now, when you add not the true world to that, you get this, a much more detailed image, okay? And again, with the abstract, you get a much more abstract application of the detailer. So this is not a detailer so much now. The detailers work when they're in combination with another LoRa, which you have loaded in the stack. That's how that basically works. If you don't have a LoRa loaded, this is the only LoRa that's being loaded, and so there's no balancing of the patch. So that means that the effect is a lot stronger. So we're going to go from this to this, okay? The thing about Not the True World was it was an amazing detailer in terms of like convolution of the detail that's already there. So you can see this is a room full of crystals, and now it's like a much more realistic giant crystal, but it's in some kind of tech museum. Whereas the abstract chaos model, it just goes nuts with abstract chaos type looks. So this is going to be a lot stronger because it's running twice as strong now. And the same goes for the Electron Microscopy LoRa and the Genesis Flux LoRa. So remember, there's no trigger being loaded on these images. So it's still kind of like, I classify the passive mode means that you're not actually giving it a trigger. You're just loading the model in. But I wanted to show this because if you don't have a LoRa to mix it with, because I'm all about blending models. That's one of the things I've been doing for like 2 years. Ever since I did checkpoint training, that was the biggest thing, was if you have 2 checkpoints and you blend them, you get something completely new. But when you're not blending, you're essentially getting the full power of the detail model. So again, this is what you would have got without anything loaded, okay? And then this is what you get with that D. So if you're seeing strong effects, what you need to do is have it loaded at the same time as another LoRa. And again, like I said, this is making electron microscopy stuff. Look, we're looking right in at the whatever this sort of more organic, biological type stuff. And this one is obviously more sort of fractal type, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick look at that folder, because that folder is prompt gen only fused. And I got a couple more to show you. And I think then we are done looking at these passive detailers. Now, I do believe that this is more of an organic detailer, the electron microscopy. And then this is obviously just a fractal. It's a self-repeating detailer. So as you can see, this is what you should have got. This is what you get from the shot from my structural detailer. This is what you get from my abstract detailer. This is what you get from the, and so on. I think we probably get the idea by now. But you can get some really nice effects because you weren't going to get this image from the base model. You just won't. Doesn't matter how you prompt it. But you can make your own detailers, and I probably will do a tutorial on how to do that because it's all about how you curate the data set and how you tag it. Okay, so Not the True World is making some intense details here. Abstract is trying to push towards that. The glow effect is still there. Genesis really actually enhanced the glow. I hope you can see that. And they are fractal details if you look in close. And this is like one of the best ones. I actually really liked how that one came out. It's probably one of my favorites, that one there. So much detail. And you certainly weren't going to get that from the base model, because this is what you would have got for that prompt, okay? Obviously, you can change the prompt and do all that jazz, but that's not what we're doing. If I go to this one here, this is another exact, this is the sort of thing which I've been trying to get for years. This is my megastructure look right here. I mean, this is what it looks like in certain places. It doesn't look like this. This is a very artistic representation of the concept, but it doesn't look like this. There's too many planets everywhere. I don't really know why there's so many planets everywhere. But again, that's part of what was trained into the abstract chaos. one way you can mitigate that is by editing every image which you put through and removing all of these spheres. Then they won't get trained in. That's how you fix it. I already proved that with a different model in the past. So, and again, the electron microscopy, look at that. That's crazy. That actually does look like the inside of something biological. And then the fractal model, very glowy, very sort of alien interior style. Very nice, right? So, and I think this is the last image that we're going to look at. So again, this is what you would have gotten from the base model with the prompt that I'm using. And then this is what you get with my Not the True World loaded. Super high, sort of high, so good, so good. Hard sci-fi. Look at this, so good. And then with the abstract, it's still amazing. This is a sort of thing which like blows me away, you know, because it can take your art and then project it into places that you haven't even approached just through description alone. So I believe what this is some kind of like crystal harvesting part of the megastructure. And that's the same. It is, you can see them here too. There's the crystals being harvested. Okay. And if we take a look at the macro version, this looks like it's a sort of a tiny verse, you know what I mean? Like very, very small crystal formations. And then if we look at the fractal version, this is almost like a Escher style, or you know, not Escher. Well, to an extent, I suppose, but it doesn't look that, but more like the alien type, you know. So we've got like this biological, self-repeating. Like I say, it's fractal. That's what it is, really. It's fractal based, and that's exactly what it says on the tin. So that is all of what I got to show you on that front. So I just wanted to sort of say, don't skip on the detailers. Always give them a go. There are now 4 of them. I believe I linked them in the bottom of that article, which I showed you guys earlier. So don't forget, you can just go over to my, click on my profile, and then you can go to articles. And then I'm always doing loads of them. That's one of the things I do most. Like I do training, I do education, and I write a few articles. I don't write loads of articles, okay? But there are quite a few of them up there now. And like I said, we got Flux training tips in here. At the bottom, it's got the things we were just looking at, and then we've got more in here. So I think I got all my recent models are added into this one at the bottom. I think this one has got all of the comparison charts. And then obviously I do try to keep my video generation roundup article up to date. So that's quite a popular one. I think a lot of people follow that. But the point is, make sure to grab, if you like Flux, make sure to grab this one, this one, this one, and this one, because they're like, they actually have a hidden, it's like a hidden double effect in that they are passive detailers. And that was pretty much what I wanted to tell you. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.